Hey, Ed here, and I'm doing another Friday night pickup video that will probably actually be loaded sometime during the day on Friday because it's uploading while I'm at work, and no telling how long it'll take. I had a pretty good week this week, and this week is brought to you once again by Donkey Kong for the Game Boy, although some of it was brought to you by a Nintendo 64 as well, so we'll just say it's brought to you by Nintendo. Um, I got a pretty good mix of stuff this week. Some hardware and games from several different systems. So I'm going to try and keep one pickup all by itself. Normally I try and show you by console, but I want to keep one pickup together, and that's the one that's going to make me go to hell. So I'll save that one for last. As far as where to start, I don't even know exactly. I'll start with pickup that I had. Actually, this was Wednesday. Had a bunch of games in a, what was it? Goodwill in Ashland, Ohio. Stopped by on lunch and picked up for $1 each Centipede Millipede for the Game Boy, Columns, The Lion King, and Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse for the Game Gear. Actually, I almost walked right by these because they were in the glass case, but they were on the top shelf, moved all the way to the back, and I didn't happen to see them until I was walking out. I was able to look through, the door was open, and saw it from the reverse angle. Otherwise, I'd have walked right by. Now, actually, I'd have probably walked by them anyway, because I've pretty much stopped collecting for the Game Gear and the Game Boy, just because I see them all over the place, and I have enough games now that I've got most of them that I'm interested in. But these for $1 in the case, and then the fact that this was a couple of classic arcade ports, I decided to pick them up for $1 a piece. Yeah, what else here? That same day, a little earlier, I picked up, well, the same day a little earlier, I picked up the pickup that's going to send me to hell, but at a buybacks in Mansfield, I picked up a game called Fighter's Destiny for the Nintendo 64 and Wing Commander for the Super Nintendo. And the two of these together, this one was $1.99, this one was $1. So for $3, two games. I have no idea what Fighter's Destiny is, but I know that I like various incarnations of Wing Commander, and I'm pretty sure this is worth more than $1.99. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'm sure it's worth more than $1.99. This is hard avoiding all this stuff sitting in front of me here. I'm going to move this over here. I will go to Streetsboro on Tuesday. Yeah, that's what it was. Streetsboro on Tuesday. I stopped by a... was that Streetsboro? Yeah, it was Streetsboro. Streetsboro on Tuesday, I stopped by Goodwill, and I picked up a joystick. And you think, well, what are you picking up an old computer joystick for? Well, because it is a Thrustmaster Top Gun joystick. Now, I really like Thrustmaster joysticks. If you guys were around in the 90s and you were playing, you know, spaceship fly around and kill stuff games like Wing Commander on the PC, or better yet, X-Wing, which is what I was into, Thrustmaster was the elite joystick. It's, well, in my opinion, it's the one that I used that never failed me. It just never went wrong. There were a lot of, oh, what the heck were they called? The Microsoft, Wingman joysticks. Had a bunch of those. Every one of those stupid things broke within like a week of buying it. However, you find a Thrustmaster laying around, and that thing would last forever. Now, the Top Gun is like the light version. It's the version that it was a little less expensive. A regular Thrustmaster, first of all, the base was bigger, and I'm not joking when I say the thing weighed like 5 pounds. It was heavy. This one probably weighs about 2.5 pounds, maybe 3 pounds, and you know, it's just not as robust. I believe the original Thrustmaster had like a metal base. This one's plastic. So, but even with that, this is still a fantastically made joystick. It'll last forever, and for $2, I picked it up, mainly because I want to make my little brother jealous. I actually picked up another Thrustmaster joystick with the throttle here not too long ago for $2. So here's another one. I'm hoping that I will be able to start doing some X-Wing network play soon, so I needed another joystick, and I found a Thrustmaster. Awesome. Alright, now I cannot remember which one I picked this up at, but it's one that I never find anything in. It's a Goodwill. It was a Goodwill in... yeah, It escapes me. I can't remember which one it is. But in any case, it's a Goodwill that I never, ever, ever, literally, I have never found one single thing in this Goodwill. And, oh, I remember. It was in Macedonia, Ohio. Now, I never find anything in this Goodwill. I've never found anything in there. So I almost didn't stop, but it's literally, it's right down the street from my next stop for work, and I stopped by because I was driving by. Look inside, no video games, but I did find a Pac-Man board game. Now, it's missing one white marble and the 2 6-sided die, which you can find 6-sided die and white marbles everywhere. So, other than that, this is complete. The box is in good physical shape. You know, there are no corners ripped or anything like that. The only problem, well, there's 2 problems. First one, I mean, you can tell that the box is kind of faded. It's definitely been sitting around for a while. I don't know how well the camera will pick it up. See that? Yeah, it's cellophane tape. The jerks at Goodwill insist on wrapping cellophane tape all the way around the box. I might be able to get this off by heating it up, but I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to leave it on there. It's going to infuriate me, but what are you going to do? And again, I've seen this thing sold for, I had an offer to buy it for like $12, but it was missing a couple of the pieces. I held out, and I see it on eBay all the time for more. But $2, yeah, I'll buy that. It looks really cool. Basically, you move around on the board with these little Pac-Man guys, and you pick up marbles. Pretty neat. Okay, let's see here. I'll do this other gymongous non-video game thing here. This was yesterday, actually, at the Volunteers of America thrift store in, well, technically it's Brunswick, Ohio, but it's between Medina and Brunswick. Yeah. Walked in, looked at a bunch of stuff, found a couple things that I thought about getting. I was able to plug them in and try them, and they worked to varying degrees, so I passed on them. What I did not pass on, though, for $4.99 is a Commodore 64. God, this thing's heavy. Commodore 64 monitor. And I haven't cleaned it up yet. Oh, wow, that shows up better on the camera than it does in person. It was $4.99. Yeah, I couldn't even see the price at the store. I went up front, and then they pointed out, yeah, you can barely see it in person, but it shows up really good on the camera. Yeah, $4.99. I actually have one of these that is going to be given to me by my friend Nathan. But for $4.99, I'll pick it up. Ooh, it's got some dog hair in there. Throw that in the trash can over here. For $4.99, I figured I wouldn't pass it up because I have my retro game night coming up soon. And this has AV in on the front and on the back. And I can use this for my retro game night. And when I'm done, I'll probably end up putting this in my daughter's room. She has a TV in there that doesn't have AV input, so she'll be very happy to have this one. Just to watch movies on. I don't put cable or anything in there. Not that you care. Why do I tell you some of this stuff? You don't care about my personal life. Yeah, it does work. I tested it before I left, and it is going to be a very cool little thing. But God, this thing weighs probably, I don't know, it weighs a lot more than a 13-inch television this size. Ugh. Alright, I'm going to move on to some stuff that my buddy Eldon bought for me. He was at an exchange. You've heard me talk about that before. It's a media reselling chain. They sell video games, CDs, movies, stuff like that. But he was at one right down the road from where he was working that day, and he came across, he came across a game. He got this one somewhere else. He came across a game for the Sega CD, called me up, asked if I had it. I said no, so he bought it for me. I haven't gotten to play it yet. I've got everything set up over there. I just haven't sat down and tried this one. I've been trying out some other games that I bought. Yeah, it is called Rise of the Dragon. And I don't know very much about it. I haven't even looked up gameplay on it yet. But you can't really see the pictures on the back. But you can see the monitor. Isn't that nice? There's me, Infinity Cam. It says here, in a world gone mad, the year 2053, the city, Los Angeles. Amid the foul air and dark, dangerous streets, a dragon rises from the ashes of legend. Many fear him, many fall before him. Only one will risk all to destroy him, and that is you, Blade. Hunter, private investigator. So, I don't know, I guess you're a private investigator that takes down a dragon. Should be an interesting story to play through. Now, a few days earlier, he had been at the Hartville Flea Market, and they don't have all their stuff set up outside because it's still cold out here, but he went through and found a reseller inside and found me Fantasy Zone for the NES. And it came with the manual, and the game, and the funny little Tengen box here. Now, I don't remember Tengen boxes from back in the 80s. Did they all look like this? I don't remember ever buying any Tengen games. So, yeah, and this is the first Tengen box that I've seen. I imagine that the game comes, like, folded up in here. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. I've never had one before. I don't know if this is what all the boxes look like, or if this is, like, a box that's been cut or a custom box. Anybody that knows, let me know. Yeah, I was not a big Tengen collector back in the day. Actually, I didn't even own an NES back in the day. My little brother did, so yeah. I don't know. Off topic again. Sorry about that. Alright, and before I get to the buy that's going to send me to hell, I was at an exchange in Canton, and I found this. Now, this has actually been in that store for months and months and months, and it started out at a ridiculously high price, and it got cut down in half here a couple of months ago, and it still wasn't selling, so it got cut in half again, and it was enough that I picked it up because I got it for a lot less than what it's actually worth, and that is very cool. And it is one more game added to my 32X collection, which my buddy Eldon insists that I will be able to complete the entire collection. So now I guess I have to. I do not care if they're in boxes necessarily. I might actually try to complete the collection, but there are some really pricey games in the 32X, so I'll probably go for a loose cart collection, and then anything I find in boxes is a bonus. At that same store, I came across another 3DO game. It's called, I don't know actually what it's called. I think it's Patank. Whatever it's called, it is a pinball game, but it looks like a really fun pinball game. I gotta hook up the 3DO and give this one a play. Well, maybe it's not a pinball game. Maybe it's a racing game. I have no idea. You can't really tell by looking at it, and the manual doesn't give you much more information. But don't run across 3DO games very often. Well, lately I've been running across 3DO games constantly, but it's actually pretty uncommon around here, so I picked them up. Also, for $1 a piece, I picked up a couple of Star Wars PS2 games. I'm going to sell most of my PS2 stuff off, but I've decided to keep the PS2 that I got dirt cheap in the box, and I'll probably keep these 2 Star Wars games because my son loves Star Wars games, and I'm probably going to end up giving him that PS2. Hopefully he doesn't watch this video because he doesn't know that. I don't know. It'll probably be like a cheap Christmas gift or something. Don't tell him I said that. And then I have a couple of Genesis games here. I picked up Mario Lemieux Hockey. I already have this game, but this was $1, and I wanted the case because I recycle cases, like I say in almost every video that I do. Whenever I see a $1 Genesis game that's not an EA Sports game, I buy it for the case. There you go. I found Earthworm Jim complete, and he was very cheap. I also found, for $1, Decap Attack. He is not complete, but that's okay. Any game where you're a mummy that can throw his own head as a weapon, worthy of $1. Finally, I think, I got a bunch of stuff over there. Oh no, that's the stuff for the Classic Game Hunter that I bought. Finally, I have the buy that's going to probably send me to hell. And I'll get to why it's going to send me to hell in just a second, but we'll go through the stuff that I found. I went into a Goodwill in Mansfield, Ohio, and they always have a bunch of, you know, sports games laying around, and you might find the occasional non-sports game, but it's almost always like Xbox and PS2 sports games. So I don't even know why I still go in there. It's just because it's where I happen to stop for lunch every week at on this route. So, yeah. Anyway, I go in, I look, and just kind of glance into the glass case, and I kind of had to do a double take because there's never anything in there. But they had a whole bunch of games. They had PlayStation. Well, I thought they were all PlayStation games. Turns out that there were a couple of Dreamcast games as well. But anyway, I think I took a picture to show the Sega Stoner. I don't know if I'll insert it here or not, but if I was going to insert the picture, it would be here. There. If I inserted it, you will have seen a picture. If not, you'll have just seen me going. So, yeah, here we go. They had a ton of games. They probably had 25 or 30 games in there. And in them, I found Galaga, which is, well, it's called Galaga Destination Earth, which is a pretty cool-looking futuristic shooter-type game. Really looking forward to that one. Love shoot-'em-ups. And there was another one in there called Nanotech Warrior. This one is kind of odd. It's almost like you're flying around on a tube shooting at stuff. But, well, actually, apparently you're flying around inside a tube, too. Haven't played either one of these. I'm going to give them a playthrough here fairly soon. Also, Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid came with both discs, but no manual. Oh well. Also in the case was, well, actually a couple of Dreamcast games, but only one complete in the case, and that is Evil Dead: Hail to the King. It is complete, and the disc is in good shape, and that is going to be an awesome game. I love the Evil Dead series, and I think I'm really going to enjoy this one. Before I get to the other stuff in the glass case, I'm going to go through a couple things. I walked around the rest of the store, and in the toy section they had a couple of Sega Genesis games. One that I've never heard of called Trampoline Terror that looks like some kind of puzzle game. I don't know. And that one is complete, but it's got some stickers on it that I'm going to have to try and get off. And World Heroes, which is, as you would expect, a fighting game. I popped this one in for a couple minutes and tried it out. I'm not sure how I'm going to like this one, but it was not complete, and it has the same video game store sticker on it, so these must have come from the same collection. Actually, I'm assuming this one came from the same collection too, because it did have the same video game sticker on it, but it was across the bottom here, and if you look on there, you know, there's a nice wide band. You can see where I heated it up because it bubbled up the label. But Turrican, which I found really interesting to find because I was thinking about picking this one up. I got Mega Turrican a couple of weeks ago, which I loved. And then to come across Turrican in the wild at a Goodwill for $1 kind of surprised the heck out of me. So, all right. Now, for the reason that I'm going to hell. When I took all of this stuff here up to the register, they had, the Goodwills around here, I don't know if they do it everywhere, but the Goodwills around here, they use people from like mentally handicapped workshops. The people will come in and they'll work at Goodwill for minimum wage for a few hours a couple of times a week. And that's a really cool thing for them and for Goodwill because they get cheap labor, which I know sounds callous, but come on, that's the reason they do it. Anyway, yeah, I went, that was horrible, I can't believe I just said that. I go up to the register and I took my Genesis titles and I had her set all this stuff aside for me. None of this stuff had prices on it, so I wasn't sure what it goes for, and I've never bought any CD-based games there yet because they never have anything worth buying. Apparently what they do is they charge you $2 for CD-based video games, regardless of how many CDs there actually are in the game, or regardless of how complete it is. They don't look at that, they just mark it $2. Unless it's an Xbox or a PS2 game, then they will mark it, I think, at $5. Anyway, she tells me this, and then I tell her, well, you know what, I'm going to pass on a couple of these things. And I passed on a PlayStation Interactive CD and a Sega Dreamcast generator, which I was going to buy them if they were like $1, but for $2 it just wasn't worth my time. And then there were a couple of other games there, Unreal Tournament and Crazy Taxi. I wasn't going to buy these either because they were loose discs. I figure I can find them somewhere else for maybe a couple dollars more complete. However, what I did is I said, you know what, in that case I'm going to pass on these, and I set them off to the side, not really paying attention. And apparently the mentally handicapped, I think that's the politically correct way to say it, person took them and set them in the bag with everything else at some point. I didn't notice, obviously the cashier didn't notice, nobody noticed. I didn't notice until I was about 35 miles away. I stopped because I was talking with the Sega Stoner, like I told you earlier, and he asked if I could send him a picture. Or he didn't ask, I told him I would send him a picture. He asked me what I had. So I emailed him a picture, and as I was pulling everything out of the bag, I noticed that I got 4 games that the lady didn't charge me for. And being 35 miles away, I was not going to turn around and take him back there. I'll be back there again this week. I'm probably still not going to say, hey, I paid for these, because how weird is it going to be that I run out and, I don't know, it's just going to seem odd. What I'll probably do is I'll buy a couple of their overpriced things to make up for it. I figure I owe them I owe them $8. I'll buy $8 worth of stuff that is $8 overpriced. I don't know. Yeah, apparently I've gotten back to my long pickup videos again. I apologize if any of you have nodded off somewhere. Oh, you know what? I forgot. Also picked up a PS2 adapter for $1. Funny that this is $1, but the discs are $2 regardless of condition. Yeah, that was it. Was that it? No, it was not it, because I forgot on my last pickup video to show you this. My little brother Jimmy bought me a Darth Vader plug-and-play game, which I have not tried yet, but I will say, I really like the controller. It fits nice in my hands, and it looks like Vader. Looks like Vader with no hands is what it looks like. Looks like Vader with no hands kind of flying at you like this. Whatever, that's neat. Yeah, there is my, let's see, I'm up on 21 minutes now. I'll probably edit some of this down because otherwise it's going to be too freaking huge in HD to upload. So, thank you very much for watching.